The United States, once considered the world's reliable breadbasket, is being rejected by its most loyal customers. Not because of quality or price, but due to something far more serious: a total loss of trust as a trading partner. The Philippines, France, South Korea, Mexico, and Italy are turning their backs on U.S. wheat, rushing into the arms of Canada. Worse still, many farmers in Kansas, Dakota, and Nebraska have been forced to burn their crops because no one wants to buy them. This silent but devastating crisis threatens to erase the United States' position on the global food map if we don't act now. For decades, U.S. wheat was a symbol of security, stability, and leadership. We exported millions of tons each year to countries that blindly trusted our ability to feed the world. From the golden plains of Kansas to the rolling fields of Montana, our wheat was the foundation of breads, pastas, and tortillas across the globe. But in 2025, this legacy collapsed. In just 6 months, 5 key countries canceled contracts, reduced imports, or cut ties entirely. They preferred to pay more for Canadian wheat, not for its price, but because it comes without the drama of political shifts, port delays, or immigration raids that paralyze our harvests. Let's start with the Philippines, our most loyal customer for over 2 decades. In May 2025, Manila abruptly canceled a 12,000-ton U.S. wheat contract and signed a new one for 110,000 tons with Canada and Australia. The reason wasn't price. Our wheat was cheaper by $8 to $10 per ton. According to internal reports from Filipino mills, U.S. wheat is now seen as risky, unpredictable, and vulnerable to political factors. Asian logistics firms report that contracts with the U.S. are unviable due to risks like tariff changes, immigration restrictions, and supply chain chaos. The result? Losses of over $240 million in 2 months and thousands of tons of unsold grain piling up in Kansas and Nebraska silos, where farmers watch helplessly as their work goes nowhere. In France, North Dakota and Montana's durum wheat was, for decades, the silent soul of French bread: crusty baguettes, golden croissants, fluffy brioches. It was a powerful bond between American fields and Parisian tables. But in 2025, that bond broke. According to EU customs data, U.S. wheat imports fell to their lowest level in 20 years. Why? Not just because of carbon standards or chemical residues, though those played a role, but due to total uncertainty. French mills don't know if the next order will clear customs, arrive on time, or be blocked by a new law. In the food industry, uncertainty is lethal. Orders aren't canceled with fanfare, they simply don't return. Meanwhile, in America's plains, trains stopped coming. Ice raids swept away thousands of essential migrant workers, leaving ripe wheat unharvested. In Kansas, desperate farmers burned their crops to avoid greater losses, an act reminiscent of the heartbreaking images of the Great Depression, when fields burned while the nation starved. South Korea, a key ally in military and technology, dealt an even harder blow. In 2025, our market share dropped from 35% to 17%, while Canada's soared to 60%. The main reason? Glyphosate residues in our wheat, exceeding 200 parts per billion compared to 30 to 70 parts per billion in Canadian wheat. South Korean companies, concerned about food safety, cut us from their contracts. Testing and insurance costs skyrocketed, making our wheat uncompetitive. At ports like Busan and Incheon, U.S. containers sit empty, while Saskatchewan's arrive on time, hassle-free. It's a brutal contrast. While Dakota's silos overflow with unsold grain, Canadian ships cross the Pacific with confidence. Mexico, our closest neighbor, is also turning away. Years ago, it imported over 3 million tons of U.S. wheat, nearly 15% of our exports. In 2025, it cut purchases by 40%. Canada, and surprisingly, Argentina filled the gap. Mexican mills reject our shipments, not for quality, but due to delays and ever-changing regulations. A shipment stuck in a Texas port for 5 days over a minor form change paralyzed plants in Sonora. In the food industry, a day's delay equals millions lost. Meanwhile, Canadian wheat arrives with clear documentation, fixed schedules, and no surprises. In Mexico City markets, bakers no longer ask if the flour is from Kansas or Manitoba. They choose what works. In Italy, where durum wheat is nearly sacred, the situation is just as dire. Since the 2000s, the US was a key supplier for Italian pasta. But in 2025, our share dropped to 15%, while Canada's rose to 45%, per the European Grain Association. Italy can't rely on a partner that doesn't deliver. In Barrie and Genoa, Saskatchewan shipments arrive on time with the moisture, protein, and elasticity demanded by master pasta makers. As they say, those who don't respect the grain don't respect tradition, and the US is failing at that respect, not because of our farmers who work tirelessly, but due to a chaotic system that has turned agriculture into a political roulette. The most terrifying part isn't the billions in economic losses, but how it's happening. Quietly, without trade wars, just the silence of orders that don't return. The world doesn't shout that we've lost its trust. It whispers with every contract signed with Canada. It's a fall that hurts like being forgotten. US farmers warned of this. Immigration policies expelling essential workers, tariffs inflating logistics costs, and a lack of stable agreements created this perfect storm. Now there are no contingency plans, only overflowing silos and empty fields. Canada didn't need to compete with low prices or aggressive campaigns. It simply offered clear standards, modern logistics, transparent agreements, and coherent trade policies. While the US was consumed by internal debates and raids, Canada built a solid reputation. In France, they no longer seek our flour. In Korea, supermarkets choose Saskatchewan. In Mexico, Canadian flour fills our shelves. It's a clear verdict. The U.S. Department of Agriculture reports a 36% increase in wheat inventories in Washington and Idaho. In Kansas, cooperatives are halting 2026 plantings due to lack of orders. In Texas, a flour mill closed in June over lost Mexican contracts. These are signs of a system failing to sustain global leadership. The political class didn't grasp that international trust is cultivated, not decreed. Trade can't depend on elections or legislative whims. This crisis echoes the 1980s, when U.S. farmers faced embargoes and erratic policies that devastated markets. But there are precedents for recovery. The Marshall Plan rebuilt trust in Europe post-war, and the 1990s tech revolution revitalized industries. The U.S. can learn from these, but only with immediate action. While other countries modernize agriculture, the U.S. sabotages itself with laws that ignore the world. Where's the America first when our partners choose others? How do we defend our economy if fields burn? If we lose trust in wheat, what happens to meat, corn, or defense treaties? This isn't just an agricultural crisis. It's a warning that the U.S. is no longer the reliable partner it once was. The news ignores overflowing silos, idle production lines, and trucks with no destination. In North Dakota, Montana, and Nebraska, wheat is identity, but young people don't want to inherit the land. Agricultural universities report fewer students, county fairs less participation. Meanwhile, Canada is booming. In Saskatchewan, precision farming and AI are transforming towns into export hubs. Manitoba built plants for Korean clients. Alberta signs growing contracts with Mexico. Ottawa ensures stability without fanfare. Canada didn't win with subsidies, but with stability. Buyers want fulfilled contracts, timely ships, and secure planning, things the U.S. isn't offering. To reverse this crisis, we propose a 5-point plan. First, modernize logistics with digital traceability to eliminate delays. Second, invest in agricultural technology like precision sensors and quality certifications. Third, reform immigration policies to ensure labor. Fourth, establish long-term bilateral trade agreements. Fifth, promote agricultural diplomacy to restore trust, following models like Germany in manufacturing or South Korea in technology. In Brussels, Seoul, Mexico City, Manila, and Rome, 5 loyal markets are seeking other paths. They've chosen stable suppliers over our chronic uncertainty. How do we recover what's lost? Can we restore trust without admitting mistakes? History doesn't wait. Will we rise to this challenge or fade on the global stage? The choice is ours. What do you think? Should the U.S. rethink its trade strategy? What sacrifices will we make to protect jobs, strengthen resilience, and secure economic independence? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you care about the future of U.S. agriculture, subscribe to World in Focus and turn on notifications. The time to act is now, before another harvest rots, before America's heart fades into irreversible silence.